Unanimous vote by an Oregon House committee this week gives the green light to a bill made to advance property tax reform in the state. Approved Tuesday to move forward for a House vote, House Bill 2321 looks at options to reform Measures 5 and 50, which were designed to cap government spending and were instituted more than 3 decades ago.
The League of Oregon Cities backs the approval of House Bill 2321 by a House committee Tuesday, calling it a small step in the right direction to facilitate property tax reform.
A process, big, serious conversation will begin. It doesn't presume any particular path for how those discussions are held. It's not prescriptive, and it also doesn't presume any particular outcome.
LOC, a local government association which advocates for Oregon's incorporated cities, said local governments are crunching the numbers and coming up short as costs rise and the two measures keep tax revenues low.
We no longer look at what the real market value of a home is. We look at the assessed value, and that assessed value is 90% of what your home or property was worth in 1995 to 1996. If I was paying income taxes to the state on my job based on someone who had my job in the 90s, it may be a great deal for me, but as much as the state needs income tax revenue to sustain their general fund and their general services, it probably would not increase.
It's not just cities, but counties and even school districts like Eugene 4J feeling the strain.
Trying to find new ways to raise revenue. And the city of Eugene already has 4 bond measures or levies that were passed democratically by the people of Eugene. So the people of Eugene are willing to do their work, but it's becoming increasingly difficult. It's just a tremendous struggle to deal with the shortages in revenue, which are in part, but not wholly a result of the measures.
In the 90s, Oregonians voted in favor of the two measures. Measure 5 introduced limits on property taxes. Measure 50 imposed a permanent operating tax rate limit on taxing districts. It also created the concept of assessed value and limited growth increases on that assessed value. These limits remain the same now. That's good news for property owners, as tax increases are predictable for the payer and revenues coming into local entities can be readily gauged. But costs for services from those entities and expenses haven't kept that same pace.
For cities who have grown really big since the 90s, that budget growth of 3% a year doesn't necessarily match up, and their permanent rate doesn't match up with the growth they've experienced.
The measures are built into the state constitution, which means communities that want to change their tax structure cannot. It will require a statewide vote.
You're saying Measure 5 and 50, they're no longer the best option. What does the best option look like?
I think the best option for us is a property tax system that is equitable. And I think how we get to the most equitable system is to really bring it back to the market, base it on the real market value system rather than how we're doing assessed value right now. I think we want it to be fair and adequate.
Lawmakers say the bill aims to analyze the measures and uncover concerns from both property owners and local governments.
The new bill calls for property tax reform options to modernize the system to be submitted to the legislative committees by December 1st, 2026.